Good afternoon there. It is 1 p.m. East African time. Many thanks for joining us on the first day of July 2022. We have so much lined up for you. Always a pleasure having you tuned in. My name is Winnie Maganga. Welcome to the broadcast. Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate William Ruto on Thursday took a swipe at the president, saying he has taken over the mandate of Inspector General of Police. Ruto labeled Hilary Mutyambai as incompetent, saying he cannot perform in his mandate effectively.
The Inspector General of Police is on the receiving end after Kenya Kwanza coalition led by Deputy President William Ruto accused Mutyambai's office is one that has no teeth to bite.
Yes.
Ruto said the Inspector General's office should be an independent office, free from interference from any external force, but instead the President has taken over the Inspector General's mandate.
The current command of the police is done by others. The IG is supposed to be an independent office. But if he cannot discharge that responsibility, it means he's being discharged by people who don't run independent offices. And to be honest, the current IG is the President of Kenya, who is the leader of Azimio. So, if you put yourselves in our shoes, if the IG is also a competitor in the election, you know, where do you start? That's where the problem is.
Ruto added that the Inspector General's office has been made a shell and it has no strength to perform its duties appropriately.
We have the most incompetent Inspector General of Police, I think, in the world. The most incompetent in the whole world. His incompetence may not necessarily play out when things are working, but when things get to a head and you need some decisions to be made, I can tell you for sure, the gentleman we have as an IG cannot make any decision.
Ruto said the election should be free from interference, expressing fears of possible interference from the sources he had mentioned.
Our concern is when the chips are down and a decision has to be made on some critical elements of the election, if it is the president to make those decisions, and he is already the chairman of our competition, your guess is as good as mine.
Ruto spoke during a meeting with a delegation of the International Republican Institute and the National Democratic Institute at Karen. Kaindo Stefano, Ebro TV.
Aside from that, Kenyans have expressed their disappointment with the government by reducing the price of maize flour by 2 shillings. This comes barely 2 days after Agriculture CS Peter Munya announced the move by the government to suspend levies and any taxes imposed on imported maize flour in a bid to lower the prices of maize flour in the country. Murang'a residents are now calling on President Uhuru Kenyatta to intervene so as to see the prices come down from 220 shillings to 100 per 2 kg packet.
This morning, after lengthy meeting and discussion, we have decided that we will suspend all levies and charges imposed on maize. This measure is intended to reduce the costs of maize that is coming into the country and therefore impact on the price of maize and unga that is increasing in our retailing points across the country.
It is a statement that came as a welcome relief to most Kenyans who were choked by the yoke of skyrocketing cost of basic commodities like maize flour. However, most Kenyans woke up to a shocking news of 2 shillings reduction in the price of 2 kg packet of maize flour, much to the chagrin of Kenyans on and offline. Murang'a County residents have expressed their disappointment by the government on the price drop of unga prices announced by Agriculture CS Peter Munya, something that did not sit well with most Kenyans. They now want the price to drop by a big margin from 220 shillings to 100 shillings for every 2 kg packet.
Ilikuwa 250, wameangusha na shilingi 2, imekuja 213. Sasa hiyo ni nini Munya anafanya? Hiyo ni nini anafanya? Mmekataa. Mmekataa. Tunataka kuambia Waziri Munya unga ianguke kutoka hiyo 213 ikuje shilingi 100. Sawa sawa.
According to Stephen Michuki and James Mwangi, residents of Murang'a County, it has become difficult for them to feed their families, noting that the children are forced to go to school while starving.
Sisi unaangalia sisi ni vijana vidogo, tuko na watoto na tuko na watoto na tunalea unga kibarua. Ukienda kwa kibarua kwa mtu ni unalipo shilingi 250, ukienda kwa duka ni 250. Hata mtoto akigojeka una pesa kumpeleka hospitali, hata pesa za shule una. Sisi shule zimefungwa, tunaelekea kufungua na hatuna pesa.
Wazazi wadogo hapo tunaumia sana. Juu hata watoto wetu sometimes wakienda shule wanaenda bila kula kitu. Na vyenye mnajua mtu akiwa na njaa hata hawezi shika kitu kwa shule.
The residents pointed out that they will come together and organize peaceful demonstration every Monday to make sure that the prices will go down to 100 shillings per 2 kg bag so that every Kenyan will afford to put food on the table.
Kila Monday sisi na grupu yetu ya usawa kwa wote, kila Monday tunaingia maandamano ya Kenya mzima mpaka bei ya unga ya. Sasa vita yetu ni ya tumbo ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Na kama kila mtu anajiita hasara, mwingine anajiita nani, mwingine anajiita baba, mwingine mama, wajue watoto wako na njaa, si ndio? Wajue sasa watoto wako na njaa.
The residents had a special message to President Uhuru Kenyatta asking him to intervene on unga prices as well as the rising cost of living, suggesting that the upcoming August election can be postponed by the biting cost of living is of urgency.
Sisi tunaomba serikali ile iko Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, tunamwambia hivi, hiyo wakati mwingine tulimchagua na tulitoka dhuraku.
Sasa ningeomba tu serikali ikiwa imeongozwa na His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, ukumbuke tu vyenye tulikuwa tumetokea dhuraku asiafu tulikuwa tumetokea, tufanyie tu favor moja tu kuangusha hii bei ya unga na tutashukuru.
Na tunawaambia Uhuru Kenyatta hivi, he is still the supreme leader, he is still the president of the Republic of Kenya. Akubali kitu moja, afadhali hii siasa isimame na uchaguzi isimame kidogo. Juu uchaguzi ikisimama hakuna mtu atakufa, lakini tukiendelea na hii njaa, kuna watu hata hiyo election mnasema haitawapata wakiwa hai, watakufa mapema, si ndio?
And moving on, detectives have arrested 6 individuals suspected to be behind Montreux's murder that have rocked Nakuru North area of Maganga and its environs in recent days. The main suspect, now described as a serial killer, was nabbed in Kisii County, where he confessed to killing 7 people so far. After weeks of questions without answers on the cult-like killings in Nakuru County, police say they have mastermind and 6 others suspected to be behind the killings that mostly targeted women. In a series of messages on their Twitter page, the DCI says the mastermind, Evans Mishori Kebwaro, was smoked out of his hideout Thursday in Keroka, Kisii County, hundreds of kilometers away from the scene of crime in Nakuru. After his arrest, the main suspect named his accomplices, identified by DCI as Julius Otieno, Josphat Simiyu, Dennis Mbolo, Isaac Kinyanjui, and Makoha Wanjala, who were arrested this morning in Nakuru. Preliminary investigation show that the mastermind is a jailbird with a criminal past and has previously been convicted and served jail sentences. After grilling, the mastermind has confessed to killing 7 people in cold blood, with the detectives placing him at the scene of crime murders and the last killing spree. The killings in Maganga and its environs follow a similar modus operandi and were reported at Kiungoine police station between June 15th and 24th this year. All the murders targeted women and were committed during the day, with the victim's body being found in the bedroom after being set ablaze.
Wametuitia kazi sisi wote na sasa tumekuja hiyo kazi. Tunataka kukutana nao, tujuane nao na watatujua vile tunafanya kazi. Tumewaeleza maafisa wa usalama wote hapa. Tumepewa vifaa vya kutosha. We have been given enough resources by the president and this government to protect these people.
The arrest comes hours after a high-powered security meeting that was held in Nakuru, led by the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, following a presidential order.
A new police commander. Ndio huyu. Huyu ndio police commander wetu mpya wa hapa. Baya atakuwa na sisi hapa.
Sometimes you wonder what happened to humanity. And moving on, widows and widowers in Kilifi County want to be included in the economic empowerment by the government as a way of sustaining their families. The widows and widowers gathered at Vitengeni grounds in Ganze sub-county to mark the International Widows Day, where it was revealed that Kilifi County alone has registered more than 39,000 widows and widowers, where most of them are said to be living in abject poverty.
Kulingana na statistics zetu, kufikia sahihi, Kilifi County imeregister zaidi ya 39,000 widows and above. Hii namba ni kubwa sana. Imekuwa ni club. Kwa hivyo, unapomuona mjane mbele yako, tafadhali tunaomba mkumbatie, mtie moyo, msaidie kusimama tena ili aweze kuendelea mbele na maisha.
Inabidi pia sisi ambao tumefiwa na mabwana zetu ama na mabibi zetu tujue ya kwamba serikali nayo ijue ya kwamba sisi nasi tuna changamoto, na iinuke isimame na yale makundi ya wale wanaume ambao wamefiliwa, kusudi nasi tuweze kupata misaada sawa sawa na wale ambao wamefiliwa na mabwana zao ama wajane. Hivyo basi, kwa hivi leo serikali tunayo hapa, waziri tunaye hapa, na wale ambao wamechukua changamoto kubwa kuhusiana na maendeleo ya wajane ama haki za wamama za wajane, sisi nasi pia tunaiambia serikali ya kwamba tuko katika kitengo hicho na hao pia waweze kutuangalia kusudi nasi tuweze kusaidika kutoka kwa serikali kuu.
Mjane utampata kanisani, mjane utampata msikitini, mjane utampata kule kwa kaya. Changamoto nyingi ambazo wajane wamezipitia, na pia tumeona ya kwamba inafika mahali mama mjane akifiwa akiwa ni mtu mzima anaambiwa ya kwamba ni mchawi ili atafutiwe mbinu ya kumalizwa ili ardhi iweze kuchukuliwa na ile jamii.
And now to the corridors of justice. Advocates in the country will have to undergo fresh training under the Advocates Training Program ATP curriculum. The new curriculum that will be undertaken by the Council of Legal Education seeks to ensure production of a competent workforce that advances the administration of justice in Kenya. This comes at a time when the quality of advocates released to the market is wanting, while the issues of unethical practices have hit tens of advocates. This has been worsened by prosecution of cases through social media, leading to a fallout between the judiciary and the legal fraternity. According to the CEO of a council, Dr. Wambua Kituku, the curriculum, will transfer legal education by nurturing 21st century lawyers who will strengthen the legal system and improve access to justice. Wambua noted that the new training will be entrenched personal and professional ethics as their cornerstone of a prudent legal practitioner.
It is meant to ensure that the advocates who go through our program emerge from it with the skills and the tools they require to practice effectively as lawyers. We're also focusing on imbuing or inculcating ethics, professional ethics, so that the advocate of the 21st century is an ethical advocate. The curriculum is also designed to ensure that we harness technology for training lawyers. So technology in the hardware sense of it, but also in the software sense of it, the use of social media. So the curriculum will also have a focus on that, enabling lawyers harness technology, but harness it also in an ethical manner that is responsive to our society.
Ethics is, of course, a matter of a number of concerns. One of the things that you look at when you're dealing with ethics is, are we prepared to deal with circumstances that affect a present-day advocate? Are we dealing with the situations or perhaps problems that we have seen affecting the practice of law, not just necessarily in Kenya, but at a global perspective? And so that is the ethical component or concern that then we want to deal with. In other words, we're trying to see those components of our practice that perhaps were not quite taken care of in the previous nature of trainings that we've had, and which maybe would take root in the sort of contemporary practice that we have today. Quality 10 years ago might not necessarily have been bad quality. It's just that we want to ensure that we have a better quality. There's always room for improvement.
And moving on, Deputy President William Ruto has launched his 5-point manifesto ahead of the August 9th polls, dubbed The Plan. Ruto said Kenya's economic challenge requires immediate attention, and of his priorities as president is to revive the economy in a post-COVID era. He said he would make a decisive break from the business as usual economic policies and carry out bold economic reforms in a coherent fashion to accelerate job creation and leave no one behind in the empowerment process. Kaindo Stefano with more.
Speaking at Kasarani, Ruto said among the key challenges that will confront his administration include unemployment rate that is estimated at 50%, an economy highly dependent on low productive agriculture with high susceptibility to drought, rising energy and food prices that are now beyond the reach of many Kenyans, and about half of Kenyans now living below the poverty line worsened by the pandemic. Putting into consideration the importance of education in the life of a Kenyan child, Kenya Kwanza Manifesto plans to improve the education funding and ensure that all students in tertiary, primary, secondary and universities get enough funding in order to continue with their education without any form of interruptions.
You agree with me that education is in a crisis. Education, especially higher education, is in a crisis. Most of our universities today, all our universities are technically insolvent. That's the sorry state of our universities. So we have to rethink what we are doing with our higher education. The proposal we are making as Kenya Kwanza is that we are going to merge the Higher Education Loans Board, the University Funding Board, and the TVET Funding Board into one unit. And this unit will be responsible for scholarships, it will be responsible for funding, and it will assess all students. There will be assessment so that we can close the gap. And it should be possible for us as government to also know we have a surplus. We cannot fund. Let us fund the fields that we have shortages so that we can close the gaps and be able to drive our Vision 2030 the way it is.
Agriculture is the backbone of the Kenyan economy, and through the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, Ruto has promised to increase the farm output in all farming areas by supporting farmers fully through provisions of cheap farming types of equipment, seeds and subsidized fertilizer. Ruto said this is where the high cost of living will be resolved.
Agriculture has the potential to sort it out for us. Investing in agriculture, a farmer who produces 10 bags today per acre, because they are struggling. The same farmer can produce 20-25 bags if we supported them with the capital to plow in time, get the correct certified seed, get subsidized fertilizer, and ensure that the post-harvest challenges are managed. The same farmer in the same farm, just by capitalizing their operations, they can double their production. And when they double their production, it means they can sell at a lower price to the consumer. Therefore, the challenge of cost of living is not too scientific. The challenge of cost of living is increasing agricultural productivity, period.
On matters held, the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto unveils a stakeholder to manage the National Procurement Scheme for drugs and at the same time provide a health cover for all Kenyans that will provide payment for Kenyans who visit government hospitals in the country.
We are going to sort out and establish a stakeholder-managed national procurement scheme for drugs to leverage on bulk purchase and also to bring transparency and accountability in public procurement of drugs to eliminate the KEMSA scandals. What are we saying? We are saying the following. The same thing that happens with procurement of our petroleum products. Industry, government, they come together and they procure collectively in bulk for Kenya. And that is why our oil products are the most competitive. So, KEMSA will not procure alone. In fact, we had a meeting with the health stakeholders, and they told us a simple hospital, one hospital, I don't want to mention their name, said they buy drugs as a single hospital much more cheaply than KEMSA buys, but KEMSA buys in bulk. So they were wondering, I thought if you buy in bulk, you get a lower price. But
and still on politics, Azimio la Umoja flag bearer Raila Odinga campaigns in Nyamira and also in Kisii County drum up support for his presidential bid and much more.
Na watu wa jua kali tutawapatia, tumesema tutaleta ile kitambulisho ya kutambua ujuzi yao. Labda huyu mwingine hakuenda shule sana, hana certificate, lakini ana ujuzi ya kazi hiyo. Mwingine ni welder, najua kuchoma. Mwingine ni mechanic. Mwingine ni plumber. Mwingine ni electrician. Mwingine ni seremala. Mnajua kuzeeka ile vigae, sio? Sasa tunapatia kitu kinaitwa recognition of prior learning certificate. Ile ambayo wanaweza ukiwa na hiyo certificate wanaweza kupata kandarasi ya serikali. Sawa? Sawa. Sasa vile vile tumesema kwa upande mwingine, kwa upande ya matibabu tumesema tunaleta mpango mpya unaitwa Baba Care. Itahakikisha kwamba vituo vya matibabu vinaletwa karibu na pale watu wanaishi, na ndani yako ziko vifaa vya matibabu, daktari yuko hapo, manasi wako pale, na vile vile dawa iko hapo ndani yake. Sawa? Pili, Wakenya wote watakuwa chini ya bima ya matibabu. Watoto, vijana, kina mama, wazee, wote watakuwa chini ya bima ya matibabu, ili vile vile wale ambao hawezi kulipa ile premium, serikali itawalipia. ili kama wako wagonjwa wanapata matibabu hata kama hawana pesa.
And now to sports news, the 24-year-old Victoria Reynolds has been in camp for 3x3 basketball team for close to 2 weeks now. She has not been active in 3x3, but in pillar in the forward position, having played for the Kenya's Lionesses and Williams and Mary University in the United States, where she's based. She has high expectation as she prepares for the Commonwealth Games. She comes from a basketball playing family. Her mother, Sabrina Reynolds, and father, Bernard Wanjala, both played basketball to the highest level. Elsewhere, fresh from winning driftwood servants in Mombasa, Mwamba face Nodis, Nakuru and host Kisumu RFC at the Dala Sevens on July 2nd to 3rd in Kisumu County. Peter Kefa's charge will their campaign against Kisumu before facing a resurgent Nakuru outfit and complete their preliminary fixtures against Nodis. Kefa expressed confidence that his charge can win the lakeside event after dominating the position at the Mombasa tournament. And that's where we wrap up our news at 1. Many thanks for keeping me company. Special thanks to everyone who made this particular bulletin a success, including my director, Teresia Wanjiru, my teleprompter, Loreen, DOP, Ishmael, Korir, and my sound guide to this particular afternoon has been Frank. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Winnie Maganga.